Hello and welcome to a new video. Today is again the tier list Tuesday, so today we're going to take a look at the top moves that you can get only through an elite charge DM for the Open Great League. So we have not every Pokemon in here because it would be a way too long list, but we're going to have the main Pokemon that we're going to take a look at. I actually made this video before, but I wasn't really happy with the tier list, so we're going to start over again. Now we're going to take a look here at the top Pokemon. We're going to have 4 tiers. Must have, good to have. Like must have is the thing that you really prioritize. Good to have is something that you can try to get. It's very decent for like several metas. Spice, not meta, kinda self-explanatory, and just no are just moves that literally don't give this Pokemon anything really. So yeah, let's take a look at the first one. We're going to have the Acrobatics variant of Jumpluff. Was a community today, good to have. Sadly kinda fell down a little bit recently. But definitely still a Pokemon that you kind of want to have as like an option at least. Next up, we're going to have the Swampert. Swampert is going to be a very cool Pokemon as well, going to be a must-have, very good in the Open Great League. Very, very strong Pokemon to have, as this is one of the best Pokemon in general, also as a Shadow variant for both of them actually. Next Pokemon, going to be Lugia. Actually a Pokemon I kind of want to try out again, but this Pokemon is very difficult to get. You don't really see it too often. The stat product of this Pokemon is actually really good for the Great League, but it's just not really meta, to be fair. Dragon Tail, it's just basically kind of like a worse Altaria, I feel like, so it's not really that great. As we're going to take a look next at Sacred Fire on the Ho-Oh. We're going to see another Ho-Oh later on as well here, which I'm actually just going to put above as well. And actually, Earthquake is a little bit better in my opinion than Sacred Fire for the Great League because of Lantern, because of Galarian, not Galarian Stunfisk, also of course Galarian Stunfisk, but Sacred Fire would work there as well. But for the Carbink, it's going to be better. For the Bastion, it's going to be better, so I feel like Earthquake is the better fast charge move there for this Pokemon. Of course, Brave Bird is something that you have to have. Next Pokemon coming up going to be Gyarados. This is something that is good to have, especially as a Shadow variant. For, of course, Master League, it would be the must-have tier most likely for the Master League Premier Cup. But here, it is something that is good to have for several smaller metas, like recently I think as well for the what's called the Fossil Cup. It's a very decent Pokemon to have. It's just very decent, but like it really depends on the metas. It's going to be just only something for restricted metas. Next Pokemon going to be the Stone Edge Blaziken, which I'm going to rate a little bit higher than the Blast Burn Blaziken. Blast Burn is of course the Community Day move. Stone Edge is a legacy move that you were able to get just when it first got released, but then got cut out of the moveset. Stone Edge is very, very good for this Pokemon. It's definitely something that you kind of want to have. Gives you better coverage, while Blast Burn is kind of not necessary as you already do a ton of damage with Counter plus Blaze Kick, which you definitely have to have. So you can either decide really between Stone Edge and Brave Bird for this Pokemon, as this is going to give you better coverage. Next Pokemon, Hydro Cannon Blastoise here. Very decent Pokemon. I would actually put like somewhere in between here. Hydro Cannon Blastoise kind of underused for the Great League, but it's a very decent Pokemon. Has way more bulk than, for example, a Swampert, which is really nice. Still has a very decent moveset with Water Gun, Hydro Cannon, as well as the Ice Beam, so very strong Pokemon indeed. Next Pokemon going to be a must-have again, which is going to be the Lickitung, which is definitely one of the strongest Pokemon right now. As I made a video yesterday about like potential move changes, you can definitely check that one out if you haven't done that yet as well. I feel like Body Slam kind of deserves a nerf a little bit. This Pokemon is very insane, but also like something like Double, Vigoroth, like they just all abuse Body Slam so hard. It's such a strong move right now. Currently, at least, it's a must-have. Well, with this Licky, you can use it. I would just put it into a Spice, not meta. It's nice to have, but like it's better to have the Lickitung. Usually, like cups where Lickitung is allowed, Licky would be allowed, and like vice versa. So you kind of want to have the Lickitung instead. It's not really that nice. Yeah, actually, I would also put those most likely into the Spice tier as well for the Blast Burn variant, because you usually don't really want to have it that much. But like Stone Edge, definitely a cool thing to have for the Great League for the Blaziken. Same for Hydro Cannon Blastoise, of course. Next one is actually a must-have, which I didn't really expect that it would be, but Breaking Swipe, counter variant of Hexlurus, is insanely strong in the Great League, really underrated. I don't really see it too often nowadays, but this Pokemon really can break apart the meta, which is kind of nice to see, because I like to see like squishy Pokemon doing well. Definitely something cool for that one. Something that's a little bit more spicy, but definitely helps this Pokemon out, going to be Brutal Swing variant of the Hydreigon, but it's going to be around like the same area here. We're just going to have Swidus, which is a little bit better, and we're going to have also the what's called the Guzzlord, which is also going to be better, so it's more like a spicy. Don't really need this Pokemon too much. like, it is definitely an advantage for this Pokemon to have this move, so it's not a just no one, but like, it is not really that great for it either. So, next one, we're going to have a Blast Burn on Charizard. A very strong Pokemon now. Since the Ring Attack buff, it's definitely in the must-have tier. Would put it below Swampert, but definitely something that you kind of want to have here as well. Next Pokemon going to be Cross-Chop variant of the Primeape. Actually, usually not really preferred, so it is good to have actually I would say it's just like a spice, to be fair. You usually want to run close combat for the extra damage, as you already have Night Slash for the coverage move there that is going to be very cheap, so like you don't really need Cross Chop on this Pokemon, and close combat just gives you more finishing power, so it's not really something that you need. First, just know is going to be the Draco Meteor variant of the Dragonite. It just doesn't help it. Like, it just doesn't help it. The Dragonite literally just needs the Dragon Claw plus Superpower. That's all it really needs. And you don't want to have this move on there. Definitely not. Takes too long. You don't have the bulk for it. It is just not worth it for the Great League. This, again, this entire tier list is for the Great League. It does not say anything about Ultra League or Master League or anything like this. There might be separate videos. If you want this, like if you want to have a separate video for the Ultra League and the Master League as well, let me know in the comment section. The highest voted comment I'm most likely going to do for the next week for this kind of format. So definitely feel free to leave a comment on what you want to see next. But we're going to take a look now at the MEWeedle, which we're going to have in the good to have here. I would actually put it above the what's called above the Jumpluff right now. Very strong Pokemon, very cool Core Breaker, breaks the Azumarill, breaks the Medicham, has potential withdrawal against Lantern, a very cool Pokemon to have. While Earth Power, honestly, I would just actually say, I don't know, it is an upgrade, so I have to put it into Spice instead of just, no, it's an upgrade to Earthquake for the, oh, I forgot the name, even Flygon, for the Flygon, so like, but it's just such a bad Pokemon, I would put it even below Lugia. It's literally just such a garbage Pokemon to have, so don't really go for that. Something that's very good to have, and also above the Beedrill in my opinion, is going to be the Earthquake variant of the Politoed. And with that, also, we're going to have the Ice Beam variant, which is going to come out eventually in, like, actually this weekend, so definitely stay tuned for this Pokemon coming out there as well, going to feature it on my channel. But for me, this Pokemon is basically not really that usable. This Pokemon is not that great. I would not really recommend you to use an Elite Team for it. Just get it this weekend. Definitely have one for it, but it's just, yeah, it's like Spice. I wouldn't really expect that this Pokemon is too great. Earthquake is better, you have Blizzard already. I mean, yeah, it is good to have. To be fair, it's like end tier of good to have, but I feel like Earthquake is just better on this Pokemon. Ice Beam doesn't really do too much, at least in calculations for it. We might see it differently anyway soon. Something that's also kind of nice to have, but also in the lower tier, is going to be Earthquake variant of the Regirock. I expect a Focus Blast nerf eventually, just to counter the Registeel right now, which is very insanely strong. So when this happens, Earthquake going to be most likely the best move to go for this Pokemon. You get to it very fast, so it's a very nice move to have on this Pokemon as well. But it is not too crazy. Something that's definitely good to have, and also better than the Politoed for sure, is going to be Frenzy Plant on the Chestnut. This Pokemon is a cool core breaker. Like, if you must have is of course complete meta Pokemon, but good to have are most likely Pokemon, usually Pokemon that are having the ability to break some cores, to be some anti-meta stuff that is really good to have here. So that's why we have like good to have here, and that's basically the perfect description of this one. It's kind of getting close to must have as well for Chestnut. Very decent Pokemon, getting used recently as well a little bit more, so that's kind of nice. Next one is going to be something that I kind of have to put into a Spice. Not the move itself is Spice, but the Pokemon itself is spicy, and I'm so sad about it. Like, it's of course top tier, like top tier from the like Spice list because I can still use it. I would love to put it also like in good to have, but you just don't really use it. And it's actually, it is not really good to have, because for the Great League, this is Great League only again, the Shadow Punch variant of course is better, but you can just use the Pre-Evolution, which has a better moveset actually, since it got now Ice Punch. And it just doesn't make sense to run Gengar right now, sadly. This Pokemon has really fell off. The Pre-Evolution is better than it. It is just sad to see. It's not really that nice to have. Something that's also not that nice to have is the Grassnut variant of the Breloom. It is spicy. It might be a little bit better now than Seed Bomb, as Seed Bomb got nerfed. I wish that Grassnut get like buffed a little bit and gets like -5 energy. I think it would change a lot for this move, but right now it's just not really that nice. But Grassnut is nice on Cresselia, giving it the coverage it needs, and gonna put him definitely into the must-have tier. If you have a Cresselia for the Great League, definitely try to build it. A very strong Pokemon right now, as we're going to have now. The next one going to be Hurricane variant of the Articuno. It's somewhere between just no and... Honestly, the thing is, you usually really just don't want to have this move on this Pokemon. Like, the thing is, usually you have Articuno metas where you have also allowed like other flying type Pokemon like the Charizard, and you kind of want to have Ancient Power. So it's somewhere below like Spicy or not meta. Like, it's somewhere between just no and Spicy, not meta. It's not really that nice to have. Something that I actually have to put into Spice nowadays. I wish that we get like either an upgrade for Metal Claw, which I also had in the video yesterday for like potential move updates. Either access to Metal Claw that's going to like increase like the stats for Metal Claw to increase, or like Waterfall itself would increase, would make Empoleon way better. I feel like this Pokemon really needs an upgrade. It was very nice back in the day, but nowadays in the current meta, it is just sadly not. It just doesn't do enough. Like, it just doesn't charge up fast enough. It doesn't do enough damage. It is just like standing there. It's not really the best Pokemon, sadly. Way better right now as like the second best water type starter, most likely, is going to be the Hydro Cannon variant of the Samurott. And I actually would put it somewhere here as well, somewhere in that area. Very cool anti-meta Pokemon, very decent in recent cups as well. Very strong Pokemon, definitely something that you can go for. Something that you can also have, and like it's good to have, is going to be Ice Beam on the Lapras, but again, that's just like kind of meta dependent. Like, a lot of times you also kind of want to have Skullbish on this Pokemon, so it is something that is more lower tier of it's good to have, but you don't really need it all the time, especially as the other Pokemon like the Walrein, which have the same tier, which are, in my opinion, low for must-have nowadays. For Great League, at least. For Ultra League, it would be different, that it would be high for it, but Walrein is still very strong. But recently, also kind of, like, this season, it's kind of like good to have more. Actually, I would put it into good to have this season. I don't really see it too often. People don't really use it that much anymore. It doesn't feel like it has the biggest play, even though it got buffed with Icicle Spear again. But, of course, for Ultra League it would be different. For Ultra League it would be must-have. For Great League I would just say it's good to have. It's nice to have this Pokemon for sure. But it is not as good as another Water and Ice-type Pokemon, which is going to be the Dewgong. And Dewgong, honestly, I actually would put him somewhere here. Like, it is such a strong Pokemon right now. It's honestly one of my favorite Pokemon to use right now in the Great League. So strong. It's just so nice in the neutral matchup as well. Icy Wind plus Drill Run plus Ice Shot is just such a nice moveset. Very nice to have. And honestly, something that I put around here is going to be the last resort variant of the Umbreon. It's going to be one of the strongest, like, it is one of the strongest Pokemon. It hit Legend for me as well, together with the Dewgong. Very strong core. Of course, you always need like the legacy moves, but it's a very good Pokemon. Mistball Latias, very interesting Pokemon. Kinda somewhere where Ho-Oh is not really nice, but different is it for the Luster Purger variant of this one. It's also Spice, but way better than the Latias, because you have Dragon Claw available on this Pokemon. So I actually would put it somewhere here, actually. Like, Latios is a cool Pokemon to have, very squishy, especially the Shadow variant, but like packs a punch. It's a cool Pokemon to have, definitely, but not as crazy. Honestly, like the next Pokemon, it's just no, honestly. Cross Chop on the Machoke is an upgrade. It's in between Spice and just no again, but it is sometimes an upgrade. You kind of also want to have Return Dynamic Punch, to be fair, on this Pokemon, to have some kind of coverage as well, but it is just like this Pokemon itself is so bad. It only really has play in the cup where you have to have like only middle stage Pokemon in there, and otherwise it just never sees the light. It's just not really the best one. Honestly, it's just not really that nice. But what is kind of nice, and which makes me also change a little bit the layout real quick, is going to be the Frenzy Plant variant of the Meganium, a Pokemon that's kind of underrated. Very decent stats right now. Honestly, it's kind of even high up. It's just very difficult to build a team around it. Here we're going to have a little bit smaller now, but it's very difficult to build a team around it. Otherwise I would have showcased it already, because this Pokemon actually has so much play in the current meta. If you just go into PvPoke, it basically beats the entire top meta right now. It's just very difficult to build teams around grass types right now, with all the flying types around, with the ice types around, with the dragon types around. It's just not really a nice type for the current meta. But it's still, like, if you would get it into the right matchups, it is very strong. It's like basically on the similar tier than, for example, Chestnut. Chestnut is a little bit more used, I feel like, but very decent Pokemon. I guess a must-have must be the Altaria. I kind of want to have it always in low tier, because Moonblast itself is something that gives it a little bit more of an edge, but it's not really that crazy needed. Like, you don't really, like, you can still play an Altaria without Moonblast. Dazzling Gleam is okay, the Dragon Pulse is okay, they both work out, but yeah, you kind of want to have it. Like, honestly, you kind of want to have it. Something that's definitely good to have is the Sandslash, though. Sandslash was really decent in a recent cup. I would put it around most likely around here in this area. Night Slash variant here definitely helps us out, but it is definitely something a little bit more spicy and really just for standard cups and not like for restricted metas compared to like open Great League. But the next one is going to be actually a just no for me. Obstruct on Obstagoon. Again, it is different here compared to the Ultra League. For Ultra League, you have way more bulk, where Obstruct does make sense because you're going to buff your own defenses and you're going to live longer with it, which is going to really help you out. For Great League, you have Medicham and you're just too squishy. For the Ultra League, there are not a lot of counter users around, so it doesn't really matter too much. You have some double kick users, quite a lot of double kick users. But for Great League, there's Medicham on nearly every team. And Medicham doesn't care if you have like even 2 Obstruct boosts, like they don't care about it. So it's a just no for the Great League. Don't get Obstruct on this Pokemon. It's just not worth it. Another just no, of course, going to be also the Night Stitch on the Persian. I kind of want to put it in there because I feel like Persian would be really cool if there would be like a few more normal type fast moves that are going to be decent. Like buff Scratch or something, and Persian might be a cool Pokemon to use. Make like Scratch a Water Gun clone. Then maybe this Pokemon actually had some play, but yeah, like right now it doesn't really have any play at all. Next one going to be Payback Machamp. This is going to be something that's a little bit spicy as well. It was really nice in the recent cup as well for me. It was one of my MVPs. I didn't make a video because I was away at that time, but definitely nice to have for the Great League. I built one recently and I definitely don't regret it, so definitely cool to have. Stone Edge variant on it is also kind of nice, but for the Great League, honestly, it's more like a spice pick. For Great League, you kind of want to have Rock Slide. For Master League, Stone Edge is really, really decent, but for Great League, I feel like Rock Slide is all you really need. You don't really need the extra damage of the Stone Edge, so it's not really that needed. Something that's good to have is definitely Psychic variant of the Umbreon. It is also only a cup-only thing. It's a lower tier one for like priority wise, because a lot of times when Umbreon is available in a cup, you kind of have other people running Umbreon as well, and if you run Psychic, you get hardwalled by other Umbreon with Last Resort, so it kind of cancels each other out. But I like the effect for it, especially like for like restricted metas to have Psychic on this Pokemon. It was really nice recently, very cool thing there. But next Pokemon, going to be a spicy one, not really matter. The Psychic Fangs on Luxray. Luxray needs Volt Switch, give it Volt Switch and might have some play. Right now, it just doesn't. Like, it really needs Volt Switch. It only has Spark right now. It is not good enough for that. Next Pokemon I actually really enjoyed, played it recently, and would actually put it pretty high up here as well, is Psyshock on the especially Shadow variant of Hypno. This Pokemon going to surprise a lot of opponents with this, and you're going to have a stab move with this Pokemon as a charge move, which helped out quite a bit in a recent cup for me as well. So definitely recommend it to you. Tried it out, had a lot of fun with it. Very cool move on it. People don't expect it. They all think that you get it basically at the same time as you get to the first Ice, Fire, or Thunder Punch, so people always think you're going to go for a punch and then you do way more damage with Psyshock, which is really cool to see, so that's very nice. Next Pokemon, definitely also more of a spicier pick, but actually gonna put it a little bit higher because you see it sometime more often, is MEWeedle, both with Shadow Ball and Side Strike. You kind of want to have both of them. If you can only get one, definitely Side Strike. You can only use a Shadow variant on this Pokemon as well, but it's sometimes fun for some certain cups, but it's not really the greatest one. Next one, sadly, really fell off, and it's like kind of in the spice but not matter. It needs Fairy Wind. Like, this Pokemon definitely needs an upgrade again. Needs Fairy Wind or better coverage, for example, Mystical Fire or something. But Psyshock on the what's called Sylveon there doesn't make sense anymore right now. Like, okay, this Pokemon itself, like with Psyshock, does make sense, but they're just better fairy types right now. Like, there's Clefable around, there's like Florges and other metas around, but like they're just way better fairy types around. You don't see Sylveon at all, at least in higher metas anymore, because it's just not good enough for it anymore, sadly. They're just better Pokemon for that one. Another spice pick that I actually want to build kinda maybe soonish is going to be the Rock-Slide variant of the Omastar. Lord Helix, bigger brother here. Going to be definitely benefiting from this one, you definitely do it with it, but like, again, it's a spice pick. It's somewhere around Mewtwo. It's a very squishy Pokemon, very bad typing, but it's a cool Pokemon to have. As we can move on to the next one, which is good to have, but wish that it would get buffed a little bit, is going to be the Shadowbone variant of the Alolan Marowak. I have no idea why they nerfed it before. Like, it was better beforehand, but they nerfed it then like 1-2 seasons after it got released, and I have no idea why. Like, honestly, it didn't need the nerf at all. It wasn't even that great before, and yeah, no, it kind of needs a bit of an upgrade there as well. Next one going to be something that I kind of want to build. Spicy, but a Scald variant of the Poliwhirl with a Mud Bomb buff right now, and Mud Shot is really cool. Mud Bomb buff, Scald, and Mud Shot on this Pokemon. Very nice. Very, like, kind of bulky Pokemon. Of course, a lot of fun with this one. It's not really the best Pokemon to have, but it's a fun one to have. Something that's kind of more spicy nowadays, and I wouldn't really risk it to use to use an Elite Term for this one, is the Frenzy Plant variant of the, Superior here. You're going to see already, you have the Frenzy Plant variant already of the Pokemon above it, like the Frenzy Plant Meganium and the Frenzy Plant Chestnut there, which are just better. Like, they're just better. They have they have similar rolls here on top there, but they're just better in having rolls. You basically only have coverage there with the grass type moves, as you only have like Aerial Ace as your coverage move. On the other one there, Superior, you're a little bit bulkier, which is cool, but it just doesn't really hit that hard. It's just not really the best Pokemon, to be fair. Next one, going to be something that's definitely good to have in like higher tier as well for it. Very cool for like certain metas. Drill Run, Icy Wind, and also Poison Jab on this Pokemon are all needed in all Legacy, so triple Legacy Seeking. Very cool Pokemon, very nice to have, but again, it's of course more of a spice pick or like for restricted metas that works out well there. Next one going to be the Skytech variant of the Moltres. You can put it also into good to have. It's a very cool Pokemon, but of course Charizard is just the main priority. Very cool Pokemon to play though. I played it as well in restricted cups before. It was very nice. So next one, we're going to have 4 times Surf here, which is going to be interesting. And I'm just going to put 2 in good to have, which is going to be the 2 Bros. The Slowbro and the Galarian variant of it are very nice. The other one are like Spice, but not kind of meta. They're just a little bit slower. And the other ones have better fast moves, so like those, especially the Galarian Slowbro, very cool Pokemon to have, especially for restricted metas, most likely a little bit above the rest here as well, to be fair. But somewhere around here, I actually would put you a little bit higher up as well. Those are definitely something that you can have. They're cool for restricted metas. They have very decent stats, actually, very decent moves, but like they just don't really, like they just need a little bit more of a buff still. But they're going to be okay like this. We're going to see now next one. The Thunder variant of the Regice, definitely above the Regirock, but not really that much above it right now. Maybe actually around here, maybe between like Ice Beam, Lapras. Here, definitely something that you can run on it. Thunder definitely makes it better, gives it better coverage against Water type Pokemon, which it didn't have before. And it's a very fast move to get to as well for it. So with Lock On, you get there fairly fast, which is nice. Next one going to be definitely a Spice pick there. Definitely needs the move if you want to play it, but you don't really want to play it, and it's like somewhere super low. Typhlosion sadly really dipped away after Charizard got nerfed, got buffed so much. So like this Pokemon just seems to be not really as nice with it. I really hope that you're gonna get like Eruption or whatever the move is there for this Pokemon would be really cool. Like some kind of decent-ish move for this Pokemon would be nice, but this is going to be it for this Pokemon, as you can move on to the last 4 Pokemon that we have here. Double Iron Bash Melmetal going to be in the... It's like between good to have and spicy. I would just put it into spice, to be fair, just somewhere around here as well. It's just not that good in the Great League. It is sometimes fun to play, but also Double Iron Bash, I don't even think it's that nice for this meta. I actually would put it like super low between just Snow and actually just No, to be fair. This thing is, like, yes, Double Iron Bash can maybe be decent in a Carbink meta, but other than this, if you don't have Rock Slide and Superpower as coverage for this Pokemon, you're always going to lose against something. Like, if you don't have the Rock Slide, you're going to have some issues even against, like, Flying-type Pokemon with Noctowl, which you're not going to be able to hit anymore for super effective, and you actually struggle even though you're a Steel-type because you just don't have the stats of a Noctowl. And for Superpower, you're just going to get hardwalled by any Galarian Stunfisk, any kind of Steel-type in general. So, like, you kind of don't really even want this move on there, so I would actually put it into just No. Next Pokemon, going to be a top-tier Pokemon for sure. Going to definitely increase in value as well. Frenzy Plant Venusaur, very strong Pokemon, very cool meta breaker, as Trevenant kind of dipped away. So, a lot of Grass-type Pokemon actually that are fairly decent, but you still don't really see them too often because you see a lot of answers for it in the top there as well. They're kind of meta breakers, but like also a lot of meta Pokemon that beat them. Next one, second to last, going to be the good to have variant here, Weather Ball on the Roserade. It's cool Pokemon for some certain cups. Poison Jab plus Weather Ball, very nice, very spammy, but it's only for certain cups. It's not for the Open Great League. Open Great League, it's pretty bad, but a very decent one. And the final one is the best one of them all, Zap Cannon on Registeel. Honestly, the best Pokemon right now in the Open Great League. I hope they nerf Zap Cannon a little bit. I hope they nerf Focus Burst a little bit on it. so the gap between the rest is a little bit lower. But this is going to be it for my tier list here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. Check out the tier list from from last week. It's going to be on the screen right now. Check that out, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.